Well, welcome back to the sewing room, sewing space, whatever y'all want to call it. I have hung some curtains so y'all don't have to look at all my mess back in there. You hung a curtain up to give y'all a little less clutter for now. So anyway, I'm working on my quilt, and you all wanted to know and wanted to come along with me while I do it. So I've been sewing. You've got to quilt your inside squares, and so that's what I'm doing. And I'm quilting them just a big X in the middle. If y'all can see those white marks that make a big X right there in the middle, I'm just sewing right now. I'm just sewing one direction, and I'm just sewing them in a chain, and I'll show y'all how I do that so you'll know in case you want to chain sew something. Make sure that they're even though I am going to cut them all down. I still like to make them sort of even. All right, y'all can see right down in here, I think. Can y'all see good? Now then, you can see. Let's get to this going here and see. Then you pick the other one. And you just sew. And let your feed dogs do the work, you all. Don't be trying to push it or pull it or whatever. Let your feed dogs feed it. That's what they're for. Pick up the next one. Go right here with it. And what I've got here is a piece of flannel. Some are light colored, some are dark. It's just what I happen to have left when I was cutting my quilt. And then a top piece. Some are flannel and some are cotton. But my bottom pieces are all flannel. And I'll show you when I get ready to put it together why this does not have any batting in it. Okay, I've got the first seam sewn on all these. Y'all see I just let them go right down, fall right off the back of the table there. That's the reason I don't like my sewing machine sitting up against a wall, because you don't have that. It wants to bunch up on you, and you don't have that option. Okay, I've got some more over there on the floor. Let me go around there and get them. Then you just come back and clip them apart. Just like this. Just snip them in two. I think they call this kite tailing them. I didn't know. I really don't know. I just call it sewing them together. Sewing them in a string. Okay, and here's my others over here that I got done. Oh, there's still a couple right there. Still got some over here. Goodness gracious, you all. These didn't get sewn. Huh. All right, we'll do them. No worries. I missed 3 somehow. That's okay. We will get them, I promise. I did have these laid out nice and separated for the front or the back or for each side. It's going to be 2 fronts really, but some for the trees and then some for the front. Let's see if we can separate them out again. I know all the gingerbreads and those go on the front. I believe that one does, or on the gingerbread side. There were 3 of these that go on each, 3 on one side and 2 on the other. So there's these. And these two, here's the other one like that. Gets me 3. This goes on the tree side. And I believe this goes on the tree side. We'll see if we've got 3. If we don't have it 2, then we know they go on the other side. We've got 3, so they go on the tree side. And then, of course, the trees go on the tree side. I need 18 blocks. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knocked y'all in the head. 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right, these are the ones that go on the tree side. So we're going to keep them separate now, okay? Just for ease of what we're doing. All right, let's do these 3, and then we'll come back and we'll sew our other side, okay? We'll do it the exact same way. We're just turning this one did get one sewn on it. Let's try. Here we go. This one did not. Move y'all around just a little bit so I can find my foot pedal. Alrighty, now then, we're just going to start and go the other direction with these, okay? Just putting a big X on them. We're going to do one side at a time. Alright, so buckle up here. Alright, we've got our X's sewn on both sets of our pieces. Now then, I'm just going to kind of lay them out here together in stacks and stack them neatly. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but I started sewing on one of them and I'd already sewn the complete X on it. It must have been the first one that I did, and I thought, well, I'll just sew an X on each one of them. And then I thought, dang, it'd be quicker if I sew them in a chain sew them. And so anyway, I had to stop and take that one off and start again. Alright, now then, I'm going to show y'all how we're going to cut these. I always cut my pieces bigger than what I want my finished block to be. Just simply because, unless you're a very, very experienced quilter, chances are, when you sew them together, they're not going to line up and measure the same way. Or at least mine don't. Okay? Yours may. Mine do not. So, I thought my pieces would be around 12 inches finished. That was my goal, to kind of go for a 12-inch square. But as I pieced them, and I did something new in this one I'd never done before. It's called foundation paper piecing. I'll do you all a tutorial on that a little bit later when I do a baby quilt that I'm going to do. because I'm going to foundation paper piece it as well, because I just fell in love with that method. You don't have to worry about cutting little tiny pieces exact. You don't have to worry about whether it's the straight of the grain of fabric or not. You can pick up this little tiny scrap piece so big, willy-nilly, cut, and it'll work. It's the best thing in the world for making scrap pieces, scrap quilts. And like I said, it's something I had never done before. And I thought, I'll try it. Okay, my gingerbreads. There's the little boy, or the little girl rather. And here's one of my little boy. These are just simple appliques. I just found me a little gingerbread that I liked, the size and the shape of, that was just plain, because I want them to look like cookies. And I printed it on the printer and I cut it out. I had me a template. Then I used my heat and bond, and if y'all do not know what that is, it's this paper, and that's what it is, a paper. And on this side of it, it's really rough, and it has what we used to call, and we used to buy, stitch witchery. You can still buy that in little tiny narrow strips in a roll, I think, and people use it to hem pants with. It's an iron-on fusible stuff, okay? But by that having a paper side, I could just trace and cut out. And you iron it to your fabric, trace it, and then cut it out. Easy peasy. And then just iron them with an iron, just iron them on here. And then as you stitch around it, they don't go anywhere. Oh, it's wonderful. I love that stuff. So, that's how I did my gingerbreads. Now here are my trees. See my tree? And see how beautifully even all those seams and things are? Can you all see that? This is what they call the foundation paper piecing. And basically you start, and they're numbered, and you sew piece number 1 to piece number 2, and you flip. And then sew piece number 3 and flip. And that's how you do that. So when I did that, I didn't leave enough room around the edges here of the white part. These pieces were not sewn big enough. I had always planned to add the green around it, but because of that, I had a problem with my trees. They would not be the right size if I didn't have enough in there fabric to make them 12 by 12. So hence I measured out the smallest one that I had so that I could get the same amount of border around them. And I ended up with pieces that are, I'll have to measure because I think they are 9. Well, watch me just tear everything down here. The pieces ended up being, in which I need this because we're going to cut all these others to match, 11 inches, 11 and a half by 13. Okay, so they're 13 tall by 11 and a half wide. Let's make sure these are the same. Get the same. No, they are 11 by 12 and a half. This one is bigger for some reason. I may have to cut it down. This is a little bit bigger. This one is wider. So I'm going to have to cut this one just a little bit. So I'll lay him to the side. But what I'll do is when we get ready to sew it all together, I will make sure all my blocks are the equal size. 11 by 13. Okay? So now then, we're going to cut these. I'm going to lay these back on the ironing board. So we have a little more room to work here. Now the pieces I have right here are for the tree side, because on one side I'm going to have my trees, and on the other side I'm going to have gingerbreads. Okay, so let's get these cut, and I will measure and cut with a rotary cutter all of these pieces, and when I get that done, we'll come back and I'll show you how we put it together. Okay, the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to turn you all down so you can see. Y'all can watch me here. Can y'all see good? I think you can. All right, now then, you find your cross point right here. This right here is your center. These are where your two seams come together right here. That's your center. Now, it may not actually be in the center, but you know what? That's okay, because we're going to cut it to put it in the center. Okay? So here we go. We want to be 5.5 inches on each side of that center. So our ruler has marks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 inches. Okay? So we want it to be 5.5 inches. So we're going to come in there, and these squares were cut square. Okay? I know these top pieces were cut square. So we're going to go in there and we're going to line this up with the edge, one of these straight lines, line our half mark up in the middle and the straight line on that side, and we're going to cut that off just like that. And that slipped. It did. I need to put my handle on here. This thing is wonderful, you all. It really is. So I'm going to mark this. I want it to be 11 inches. I'm just flipping around so I can read 11. You all can see 11. Right here's 11. This is the side that I cut by accident, just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to put me a mark right there. Okay? Then I'm going to come in here, and there again, I'm going to find my 5.5. Turn it this way because I'm right-handed. I want to find my half mark, my straight mark, and my straight. And this is over just a little bit. Okay? So there we go. We've cut that off. Now then, for our top, these need to be 6.25 inches. This ruler is 6 inches. Actually, let me get a different ruler. That will help us. It will. Let me get us a square ruler right here. Alright, this is the one that we need, because it goes up to 12.5 inches. So I can do this right here. I need to find the center and put that at 6.25 on my, right here, 6.25 right there. And there again, we're going to make it straight because of this edge that we made, okay? Right there, and we're going to make sure that our center is on 6.25. And we're going to cut right there. Then we're going to come down here, and we're just going to cut this straight across, because we're going to straighten this up just like this all the way around. Because you want it to be perfectly square. And there's that little edge right there. Can y'all see that? That was not perfect. And we're going to cut that off. So there's our piece. And we're going to do each one of these individually. You do not want to try to stack them, because to get your center points and your sewing lines all straight might not be the easiest thing in the world. Okay? So, therefore, we're going to cut them each individually. Right back there's where I'm laying mine. So I'm going to turn you on a time lapse here, and you all can zippity-doo-dah watch me cut these really fast, okay? Okay, it's another day. Another day in the sewing room, sewing studio, sewing space. I've got a little square up here. It's about all I got. I got me a little square. Got me a little square space here. So, I've got all of our pieces cut. It's time to start sewing them all together. Fun part begins. I've been trying to figure out where I could lay them all out to show you all how I do this, but I cannot come up with anywhere right now. I normally just put it in my head how I want it, and I pick them up and sew. But I know that's not going to help you because that image is not in your head, it's in mine. So I tried sticking them up on the sheet back there. That did not work well. Just did not work. I tried pinning them. That didn't work. I tried my quilt basting spray. That didn't work. So I am going to show you this technique. And the next time I'm going to get the mister to build me a frame so that I can have something to put them on. Okay, to show you all what they look like before I put it together. But anyway, here we go. I've got 9 different tree blocks, and I've got a stack of 9 here and a stack of 9 here. I've got 2 different gingerbreads. I've got gingerbread boys I have 9 of. I have gingerbread girls. I have 9 of these as well. And here are my in-between pieces. And they are stacked kind of willy-nilly. There's no 2 of them going to be close to each other that are alike. Okay? Got them all separated out. And then here are my stacks. I've got 3 different stacks. Got 6 different fabrics, 3 of each of this right here. Okay? So I've got 3 different stacks. These go on the tree side. And I hope this is not too confusing for y'all. Y'all can see they're kind of sticking together where I sprayed them a little bit to kind of see if they would stick up there, and they just kept falling off. And so I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. But I promise next time I get ready to put a quilt together, we'll have a room divider frame kind of thingy. Somehow I'll figure out how to do it where you all can see. I could lay them on the bed. Daughter's got clothes where she's moving and packing and unpacking and finagling with all of her clothes. They're all scattered out all over this bed up here. So that's not going to work either. But hopefully I'll eventually get it all fixed to where, surprise, surprise, we'll be able to do that. So I'm going to bring y'all over here to the machine, and I'm going to show y'all how I put these together. Okay, I even set the machine down here on the floor. Okay. Because I thought I was going to. I had plans to. Well, I'm going to put all these away right here. Get all this stuff put away, out of our way. So that we've got a space to work on here. All right. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Are you ready, ready? Okay, now then, we're sewing this together, both sides at the same time, okay? Both sides at the same time. And if you remember correctly, only my gingerbreads and my trees have the quilt batting in them, okay? They're the only ones that have the actual quilt batting in them. And this one is a little bit short, but that's okay because that'll be on the inside. Okay. So, and these only have a piece of flannel. Therefore, I want a flannel backed piece and a quilt batting piece like this, okay? So this will be block number 1, okay? Now then, for block number 2, we'll take a tree and it goes on the back side here, okay? And it goes like this, right sides together. Wrong side will be out, okay? And on the top here, we will take one of our tree pieces. Is that right? No, we take one of our gingerbread pieces. Y'all, I have to think about this, or I'll have it all screwed up. All right, gingerbread's on one side, trees on the other. You've got 4 pieces right here. 4 pieces. And I need to change the foot on this machine to what they call a walking foot. And this will feed your fabric through at the top and the bottom at the same time. Y'all, I used to be able to do that, but my thumbs are not as limber as they used to be. Okay. Okay, I got our foot changed. Now then, you just want to come in here with about a 1/4 inch seam, which I'm going to lay it right there on the side. Right like that. And you just want to start sewing. I'm going to make those stitches just a little bit bigger. Then you want to check and make sure that you got all of it caught all the way through there. Make sure you got all that caught, and we did. So now we're going to flip this. Right like that. There's 1, and there's 2. Okay? Now then, we're just going to go again, right like this. This time we want a little gingerbread girl, because there's a boy, okay? You want a little gingerbread girl. Gingerbread girl. I'm going to lay her right sides to right sides with the pretty side facing together, okay? And on the back of this one, we just need a plain piece. I'm just going to grab this one right here. I'm just going to add it on there. We're going to do 6 in a row. Okay? 6 rows and 6 columns. Okay? But you want to make sure that you get all of your fabrics lined up even on this side right here where you're going to be sewing it. Make sure they're all lined up. All right, now then, here we go again. And there's our next block. See, this is how you quilt as you go. Sew and you flip. See, this is one side. See this? And this is the other side. You see how pretty that looks? All your seams are in there. These pieces are quilted. These are quilted. But you're not having to quilt the whole quilt at one time. Okay? So now we just keep going till we get a whole row. Like I said, you want to make sure everything that comes out here even. Okay? Now then. So we went with a quilted cookie the last time, so we're going with a quilted tree this time. You want to make sure you get them all turned the right direction too. You don't want your trees upside down, unless you do. And then you can do them every other one or, something like that. That would be okay. You don't want just one upside down though, so you want to be careful with the way you put them. Like I said, you want to make sure everything is lined up good and even. This is one reason I like to cut mine all at the end so that I know they're all the same size. And when you're sewing something this thick, you definitely want that even feed foot. gosh, there went all the clips. All right, now then, we've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more, and we've got one row done. This and a tree. All right, here's row number 1. Or 4 or 5 or whatever. We're just making rows, okay? Here's row number 1. This is how wide my quilt will be. Okay, this is just one row. Now we're going to lay it over to the side and we're going to start another one. But here's the trick. That one started with a gingerbread boy. This one needs to start with a plain ginger block. And a pretty tree block. So this is our first piece, and they go wrong sides together, you all. They go ugly side to ugly side. Pretty sides are out because this is the end, okay? So this will be the end piece. It goes on row number 2, all right? Now then we need to add this other block right over here, and that's what goes pretty side down. And we started with a boy on that one, so we're going to start with a girl on this one. Now then, and we just need to keep going with these pieces and add them on there, okay? So our first block, we layer 4 pieces, which we always are going to layer 4 pieces. But these first 4 pieces, the 2 that are in the very middle, you want them to put them together like they're going to look when they're finished, okay? Did that make sense? I'll show y'all again at the beginning of the next block. I'm going to sew this block together and I'll be back. Okay, we got row number 2 done. Now row number 3, you do exactly like row number 1. Okay, your odd rows are the same and your even rows are the same. Okay, so with that one, we started with the gingerbread boy. That's what we're going to start with right there. There's our gingerbread boy. And on the back of that, we need a solid or a plain non-decorated piece for our trees. Okay, that's block number 1. Now block number 2 is this plain gingerbread piece. See that? And a tree piece for the back. Okay, hoping this will give y'all a little more visual on how to start this. Once you get it started, it's pretty simple. Okay, so here we go. This is block number 1. Can y'all see good? This is block number 1. Okay, our gingerbread boy is our quilted piece. And this diagonal piece, fabric, just plain, is our plain piece that goes on our tree side. Okay, next to it, we want a non-quilted. These I'm calling quilted pieces. These I'm calling unquilted. So you all will know. Your plain block goes next to your gingerbread block. Okay? So you want that seam to be right sides together. So there you go. And you can pull all these extra threads off in the meantime. All right, now then, here we go. This is our other side. Pretty side to pretty side. Just like that. See that? Now that's our seam that we start. And I have clipped a few of these just because you just really don't want them to move on you. And you want to get them all as even as possible, all your corners together and everything. All right. Now then, here we go. I knew something wasn't right there. All right, now then. Why is that not? For some reason that's not engaging. Okay, see, there you go. And then you pull this one out. Just like that. And you go with your next one. Okay? But you're sewing both sides at the same time. It's got two of them there. Oh, I need a little girl, not a little boy. All right, here's our little girl. And then here's our piece. Goes on the back for the trees. Okay, are y'all ready for strip number 4? We've just got to make 6, so we're halfway through. Okay, this is piece number 4. And it starts with a tree. I'm calling the trees the back side, okay? So we turn it down, just like that. Because this is our piece number 1. And it goes with a plain piece for our gingerbread side. And they go wrong sides together, pretty sides out. Okay? This is our beginner, our first square. Now we add our second square to that. And on top of this, we need to add a gingerbread girl. These get girls. So here we go. Here's our gingerbread girl. Right like that. And she will fold out like this. So this is our second block in the row. All right? And on this, it needs its second block, which is going to be this one right here. And they go pretty sides down. Okay? And then you sew right along here. And you start to flip them out. Get me some clips on here so it doesn't slide with me. All right. You see that piece is a little bit longer. That's okay. We will even all that out before we sew it again. All right, so here we go. our gingerbread girl here. So what we started with was a gingerbread girl. This is our second block, our Christmas tree and our plane. Okay, now we just keep going. The gingerbread goes on top of here, which would be a little bowie. And a plain piece on the back for our tree piece. Tree side piece gets a plain one. And by alternating these pieces, you've only got the batting, one thickness of batting, and you've got it all over your quilt. Does that make sense? Like this one has batting on this side, this block has batting on the gingerbread side. This one has batting on the tree side. So by alternating tree, gingerbread, you've got an even amount of batting all the way through your quilt. But when you're sewing this, you are always sewing through two thicknesses of batting and two thicknesses of just your plain quilt blocks. Okay? So remember that. And y'all can pause this and stop and rewind it as many times as you need to figure this out. But once you figure it out, you'll be going, oh my goodness, how simple and easy is that? Okay? So I'm going to zip this one together and I'll be back to show you the next one, okay? And then we'll put them all together tonight. Well, welcome back. It's another day. But we did get all of our long rows made. There's 6 of them. And we've got 6 going up and down, and we've got 6 going this way. But because we went this way, now we've got to connect row to row to row to row to row. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I've got them laid out here in the order that I did them. So I'm starting at the bottom. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here is... I don't know if y'all can see the whole thing or not, but that's the bottom row of the gingerbread side and the tree side. Okay? See, we've just got them all in strips. But as you can see here, bring y'all down right here just a little bit. See how that's not real straight and level there? Or on the back here? We want this to all be straight and level. Okay? So we're going to trim them up again, so that they're all good and level and even. We're going to pull all these strings off because we don't want strings left attached to things. All right, now then, this is how we're going to do this. Let me find a ruler. And a rotary cutter. Gonna put our handle on our ruler here if it'll stay. I'm having a hard time with it, getting it to stay. All right, there we go. Handle on ruler. Now then, since I don't have a lot of space to work here, I'm going to do just about 3 at a time, okay? And I'm not going to worry about the bottom now on this one. Now I will the others. But this is the bottom row, remember? And I'm not going to worry about that bottom right now, okay? Well, maybe I will. I'll go ahead and trim that off too. But you can see where you can go from one to the other, right like this, and get it straight. And you just want to take that and trim all this off. Just like that. Do you have a nice, even piece? Here's the next one. I'll go from this piece right here to that piece right there. You want to get them pretty straight. Straight as you can get it. And sometimes cutting real close like that, your rotary cutter will not cut, especially through these seams, because they are very thick seams. You may have to take your scissors. That's okay. You just want to get most of that cut off. See, y'all, look at that. It just popped right up off of there. If y'all have one of these and there's a trick to it, let me know. Because mine's not doing like I'd like for it to. Alright, so you don't have to cut much. But you do need to cut a little bit here and there. Right now we're going to turn it around and do the other side. That seems to be okay. This one right here needs to be trimmed. Let's just come in here right like this. This one right here needs to be trimmed. Okay, maybe I'll be better off just using my scissors on them because they are kind of thick. Which is okay, you can do that. It's not a lot that you have to do right now. This was going on the bottom, okay? And like I said, they're stacked just the way you need them. See, this one needs to be trimmed. Just like that. You want to check both sides. Make sure you're got it going right all the way. Okay, right here, this needs to be trimmed on this side. All right. I'll get these trimmed up and I'll be right back. All right, y'all, here we go. Let's see if we can sew this together. And if we can't, and if it's too thick, well, we'll back up and punt, and I have a solution for it, okay? I don't want to use it, but I got one. So, first off, here is strip number 1. This is our top strip right here. I'm going to turn it back to the gingerbread side so that we can all see what we got going on here. And like I said, we put 4 pieces together. Okay, 4 pieces, just like we did when we're putting these pieces here. We're doing the very same thing. Okay. All right, now then, gingerbread side to gingerbread side. And we want them to be so that they'll face up. You want to lay it down like this. See? And you want to fold it up. So you've got your gingerbreads are 2 different directions. You don't want to lay them the same, otherwise they'll be upside down. Same with your trees, okay? And now then, we've got to take and add another gingerbread. No, I gotta think a minute, you all. All right, we got that one. Now then, we just sew through 3 pieces this time. Just 3, not 4, 3. Okay, we're just sewing through 3, I think. Yeah, just 3. So there's our top piece. Here's our next piece down this way, and we've got to put our next piece that goes here so it'll flip down this direction. Is that right? I think it is. Okay, yeah. All right, so here we go. We're going to put it face up. The side, yes, the tree side face up. And here's our tree side face up. Y'all, I think this is right. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to flip it a little bit and see if this is what we got. Then we got a gingerbread. Gingerbread. And a gingerbread. Those 2 are the same, so we don't want this one. Let's grab this one. Okay. Because this is what we want it to look like, okay? Boom, boom. This one goes down here. Y'all, this is not as easy as you think. But once you get it started, you're good. But you got to get it started right. All right, here's this piece and this piece. And in order to encase this seam, we've got to put another piece behind this one. Is that right? This is not going to work, y'all. I don't believe. Because what's going to happen is no, this will not work. I thought I had thought this thing through, but I obviously had not. And I'm just keeping it real, y'all. So, we've got options. We can either cut strips and put a sashing in here, which will work because I've done that before. Or, we can make it a rag quilt, which I really like that idea better, and I really think that's what I'm going to do. And if you've never made a rag quilt, they are so stinking cute. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to rag it. In which I should have ragged these too, but I didn't. So let's think about this a minute. Do we want to make it ragged around the edges and the strip lines? Or do we want to put a sashing in it? I think we're going to make it ragged. Okay? I think we'll just rag it up. Make it Raggedy Andy. Raggedy Ann. And in case like that, you put them wrong sides to wrong sides, which would be my tree side. because we're going to rag the gingerbread side. And you're just going to sew straight down through here, but you're going to put a pretty good size seam in this. You want to put about an inch seam. Because this is so long, I shall use my little handy dandy clips right here. And you want to match up your seams as best you can. All right, let's go over here to the machine and see if we can get this to sew through all this, okay? All right, y'all buckle up. Here we go. And like I said, you want to put a big seam. So I'm going to come over here. And let me use my little seam guide thingy, the jigger here. I've got one of those new angled metal things here somewhere. Well, I did have. I just do not. Here's this one. It'll work. It's not really the one I was looking for. I have got a bigger one. But this one will work right here. I'm going to put it right there on the 1 inch mark. Okie doke. All right, y'all. going over these seams, it's real tricky while you have to slow way down because it's very, very thick. Okay? Just be aware of that when you're making something like this with all these thicknesses. But like I said, this will be cute with ragging it out. I first started to make a rag quilt out of it, and then I thought, I can do it the other way. I'll do it that way. But now I think I'm going to like it ragged. So all right, y'all, after a couple, 3 hours and lots of broken needles and not any cussing, but some thoughts of it, I finally got these 6 strips sewn together. I'm just keeping it real. I would never do this again. I just did not fully think this project through for the way that I wanted to do it. Or I would never have quilted all these pieces the way I did it. But y'all wanted to see what it looked like when it was finished, so I thought I'd bring y'all along. Y'all can see the good and the bad, okay? But this is what this side looks like. I'm going to try to... It's a pretty good size quilt here, y'all. There's that side. And here is the tree side. Okay, I've not even fully looked at it load out here all like it is. Now then, I'm going to put some binding around the edges. Simply because this side has no ragging on it. Or I could just stitch it down and rag around the edges. But I think for this one, I will put a binding around the edges. And then I'll just clip these seams in here so that they'll rag. And I'll show y'all how to do that in just a minute. First of all, let's throw this big old heavy thing over here. Y'all, it weighs a ton. It is so heavy. But we're going to take this plaid right here, and we're going to make us some binding. You can use bias binding, or you can use straight binding. Doesn't matter, because you're doing it straight. It's all straight. You're not having to curve anything. So, y'all, I'm just kind of scattered right now. That just about whipped me out. I'm going to cut off a piece here. I don't know. How much will I need to bind this quilt? I could do some math. But you know what? I don't want to. I'm just going to cut off a bunch into a strip here and sew it together. Cut it and sew it. How's that sound? Sound like a plan? All right, let's just cut right along here. Because whatever's left, I'll just put in with my strip pieces, okay? Just lined up here straight, just like so. Now y'all can see what I'm doing. Y'all know I just bought the end of that at Joann's, so they put it back on the bolt for me. Wasn't that nice? Okie doke. Now then, I need to cut this in strips. And I'm going to pull this together like this so I can cut them 2 at a time. And I'm going to cut these about 2 inches wide, I think. 2 inches. I think that'll be good. Maybe we'll go 2.5 because we need to fold it back. All right, we're going to cut them 2.5 inches, 2.5 inch strips. So first of all, if I'm going to even up that edge, because that one edge was not to what they'd cut at Joann's, and it wasn't real smooth. So we're going to come in 2 inches and 1/2 inch. We're going to line this up right up through there. And we're just going to start cutting these strips. Y'all, I think I need a new rotary cutter blade. Because this one seems not to be wanting to cut through good. So let me get that changed out. Get these strips cut, and I'll be back. All right, now then we're just going to sew these end to end, just like this. And I usually come in to where I don't have any of the selvage showing. Right here, I'm going to sew right along there, okay? And you want them pretty side to pretty side. That means they're right sides to right sides. So that when you turn it, you have your seam the right direction, okay? Okay, now we've got one great big long strip here. Great big long strip. Now then, we're going to take it over here to the ironing board. Turn right around there. Make sure the iron's on good here. And I'm hopeful y'all can see what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to turn it in just a little bit, about a quarter or third of the way on one side. And I'm going to press it. One side's all I need to turn in, you all. Do not need to turn the other one. If you want to make your binding with a binding maker and run it through there, you can, but you do not need this other side done that way. And I'll show you why in just a minute. All right, I'm going to put this over there on the floor so I can just pull it across as I'm pressing it. Just let it fall into the floor on the front side. When you come to a seam, you want to press it open. Can y'all see what I'm doing? Or do I need to move the iron? You want to press this seam open, just like that. Let me move y'all over here to this side. Maybe y'all can see better. Now then, you can see better, I think. My hand still may be in the way, but you get the idea. See? Just want to get that turned under good, because when you sew it back down, you want to be able to catch it. Okay? So I'm going to do this and I'll be back. Okay. So I'm going to cut me off a piece. About like that. It left me a really long tail. Got long tails on both sides now. Okay? So I'm going to sew up till I get to just about here. Okay? All right, come over here. I'm going to show you. Right here is where we started, okay? Right there and right here. But basically, we want this to meet right here. So I'm going to take my handy dandy chalk right here, put me a line right there, put me a line right there, or actually, I think I'm going to move it up this way. Do it right like this so I've got room to sew it. Okay, we'll put me a chalk line right there. Fold that straight back. Bring this one up. Put a chalk line right there. Right like that. Find me a pin. Now then, I'm going to sew these right along there. Okay? Right along that line. If I can get all these strings out of my way. Okay, we're going to take this up. Then we're going to put this over here. And we want to unroll this right here. You want to make sure this right here is opened up. Okay? Okay. Take this and lay it right under our foot, just like that. So right across there. And I know I should have back stitched on that, but because I'm going to be going over it again with another seam on both sides, it'll hold it in place. All right, now then, you see how pretty that just fits across there? Let's get our scissors here. Cut that right like that. Hold this open. Come right back in here on this. Y'all, this is so heavy and I don't have a big enough table for it, really. I need a great big table if I'm going to sew quilts. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking, that's the problem. Alrighty. Y'all, we gotta sew around it one more time and then we're done. Okay, one more time. This is where you have to pull this around, okay? But first I'm gonna come in here with my scissors. And I'm gonna trim this up. Okay, I'm gonna start right here on this corner. I'm just gonna trim that to where it's just a, a good 1/4 to a 1/4 of an inch seam all the way around. Because then I'm going to bring this over and tuck it in just like that. Then we'll come back and we'll sew it one more time. All right, so let me get this all trimmed up and I'll be right back. All right, are y'all ready to go around this thing one more time? One more time. This is what we do. You just flip this over just like this, and you're going to just top stitch it right along there. Okay. Some people come back to this side and stitch in that ditch right down through there. I'm not going to do that on this one. I try my best to make them all perfect, and they're never perfect. This one, when I started putting it together, it didn't want to go together like I thought it would. But you know what? It's okay. It's fine. It's mine, and I like it, and I'm happy with it, and that's all that matters. And that's one thing y'all need to think about when you're sewing something. You're sewing it for yourself. You're not sewing it for somebody else. Now, when you start doing that, and I do that too occasionally, don't really like too much, but I do it, then you have to be more particular because people will pick your work apart. But they'll go to Walmart and buy something that's so screwed up that's not even funny. But when you do it, it has to be immaculate and perfect. So, but this is mine. My kid will lay under it in the kitchen window. That's what I made it for. The dog's going to be on it. Andy's going to be under it. That's what I made it for. I want it to be used. I don't want it to be a showpiece. I'm not hanging it up to look at. We're going to get under it and use it. So, because of that, I didn't put buttons on the gingerbread's eyes because I figured buttons would come off eventually. So I embroidered them, hand embroidered them with embroidery floss because I wanted that to last. But like I said, when you're doing something, make yourself happy with it, and that's all that matters. So, like I said, because of that, I'm just going to come through here and stitch this down on this side. Just fold it over and stitch it down right along there, all the way around. And no, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And when we hang it up, or I show it to you hanging up, and you see it, you will see that no, it is not perfect. But I like it, and you know what? That's all that matters. So, if we can get this big heavy monster back up here, and on my corners, where I come to a corner, I'm going to stitch up through there, and then I'm going to fold that right down right like that. Stitch back, and stitch again. Okay? Did y'all see that? When I come to a corner, I'm stitching right up through here. I'm going to stop, go up to there, and then fold that down. And that makes your mitered corner, just like that. Some people come in there and cut that off. I don't feel that that's necessary. I do not. Because number one, like I said, this is mine, and it's not perfect, and that's okay. So, we're going to get her up here if we can. We got to turn her over. Oh, I'm knocking y'all over. Y'all come over here a minute. Okay, all the binding is on all the way around, and no, it's not perfect, but like I said before, it's mine. It's going to get wallared to death, and that's all that matters. Okay? Uh-oh, there went the light. This quilt has just about done me in, you all. Okay, now then, I'm going to try to set it over here so y'all can see what we have to do next. I've got 2 pair of these scissors, and I don't know which one pair's good and one's not. I'm trying to remember which one's which. These right here are the good ones. This is what you do on these seams. You come in here and you just snip them. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see right down here? Let me do it this way. Y'all can see a little bit better. You just snip, just like that entire seam. See how that ruffles up and makes it rag looking, and then you put it in the washing machine and it all just fluffs out, and it's real fluffy in there, and it makes super duper cute quilts, especially baby quilts. I almost always do my baby quilts this way, and I'm going to tell y'all, this is the longest part of the whole thing is this right here. It takes forever to do this. But I'll take this downstairs with me, and while I'm watching television tonight, I'll snip all these seams, okay? Then I'll throw it in the washing machine, I'll wash it, and I'll dry it. And then I'll bring y'all back, and I'll show you what she looks like when she's finished, okay? So y'all just hang tight. It'll be just a second for you, but it'll be tomorrow for me. And y'all can see her when she's all finished. And then we're getting ready to start decorating for Christmas. Okay, look at that. Isn't that cute? See how that does that? And I thought it'd be cute on the gingerbread side if I did that, since I was going to need to do that on one side or the other. Here's the other side with its perfect seams all over. Still got some marks that will wash away. But I'll show you the whole thing. I'll lay it on my bed and show you the whole thing once it comes out of the dryer, okay? And we'll flip her over. And some of you all wanted to see the original quilted sleeve shirt. Well, here she is, right here. This is their first one that I did. And I love it. I love wearing it. I get compliments constantly on it. Every time I wear it out somewhere, oh, I love that. How did you do it? Did you do it? Did you use an old quilt? All these questions. So if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. But they're super fun. I did the one in the video is for Christmas. Tomorrow, fingers crossed, we're going to decorate the front of it, okay? So y'all just keep watching, and I'll keep sewing, and I'll keep cooking.